Good afternoon. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is Monday, November the 7th. We're going to do our chart lesson today. As you can see, I started out with basically what you would have seen right before they opened this morning, and as you can see, it's really just kind of a trading range. We bounced off that same low area during the overnight on both the high and the low, so we draw those lines. And then we look for our trend line. And the first two swings was this trend line coming right up through here. We also had a steeper trend line right up through here. And you could have had this line right off these first couple of opens. And this is where the market actually opened, right in here, 8:30 or so. So that's what we were looking at the open. Again, you can see how I got my trend lines, the first two swings of the overnight. This trend was basically over coming down through here. And we had started up, and so I drew this line, but this one was the first two swings, so I drew it too, but then I also drew one off the first two swings, actually the first three swings of the steeper one. So that one's in play, and this one will probably come into play later, but let's take a look at the big picture now. Let's start with trade one over here. There was actually a chance to enter right in here after the open. It was the second entry long off the trend line. There were so many overlapping bars, and there was no pullback to the EMA, so I didn't really like that entry, so I didn't mark that one. I started with this entry right here, and what you can see we had a similar setup as here. We had the overlapping bars, but we had a new high, then we had a little small two-legged pullback to the EMA. And the trend line, you probably could have called that the trend line as well. Really, the trend line, once you got these two higher highs here, I kind of tightened that up a little bit off that. But you can see two legs back, one leg down, a little pull back, and a second leg back. And that's basically close enough to the EMA, and it's definitely back to the trend line. And then we had a second entry long. But look what else we had here. We had all these matching lows across here and these overlapping bars, and we broke below that and then reversed. This is a nice bullish reversal bar. Prices ticked lower first, then turned reversed and went out the top side. And so we go along right here above that bar. The entry was 12.53 and a quarter. Prices actually went to a little double top at 12.55. So you could have got a couple of points out of that, an easy scalp. If you were smart and got out quickly, you could have got a couple of points. So there was a chance to make you 3 points right out of the gate this morning on two contracts. You scalp out with 1 point on the original contract, then go to break even on your runner. And I usually try to get at least 2 points out of a runner. I was expecting prices to probably go on up here, so I only got a point out of my runner. When it backed up and broke the line there, I went ahead and took a profit on my runner, which turned out to be the right thing. Prices did turn and go back higher again. As you can see, we had another turn down and we turned lower after breaking above this little double top right here. But that's what happens. Sometimes prices don't make it to the other side as high as they did before. They made it all the way up to the 12.58 area earlier during the overnight, but we didn't make that today, and prices turned down. But let's go to trade two here. This is just another similar, almost the same pattern as trade one, and almost the same pattern as the open pattern at the open this morning. We had a few overlapping bars. Prices pulled back, and look, we got a second entry long. The entry here was 54 and a quarter, and prices went to 56. So another easy point there. Not much more though. Unfortunately, this trend was turning over, and did we know that for sure? Not really, but we had some clues. Let me show you the clues. You had your trend line coming up through here. You had your break lower, one leg up to a new high, a pull back, another break, and then a second leg up. So you had a trend line break right here. You could have even said we broke it back here. But definitely we had a trend line break here. And then we had two legs up to a new high. And look what happened on this second leg. It basically came up here and touched the underside of the trend line, which is good enough for a retest, and then prices sold off down through here. But just to make sure you saw the second entry on the second trade, you had your new high right here at 12.55.50. Prices pulled back, went up, made a little double top, and then made the second leg down right there. So the second entry long was just above this little bar right here, this little doji, and we enter there, and again we got two nice scalps here. This was a pretty nice trade. We could have got 2 or 3 points off of this trade with our runner. This one we probably likely only made a point unless we scalped out when prices broke above that double top and then turned back down. And that might not have been a bad idea, but I really thought prices would come test this, but just didn't happen. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. But here's one other thing to look at here. We really had about a measured move. If you take this as leg 1 and measure it and then pull it over here to leg 2, look where prices turn, right about where that measured move was. So that was another clue to possibly exit right here. So anyway, normally what will happen on these measured moves on the bigger patterns is you'll have your first leg up, and the way you know you had 2 legs up is generally you'll have a bigger 2-legged move in the middle, and that's generally the middle of the pattern, and you can see that right there. 1 leg down, pull back, second leg down. So we measure that first leg, excuse me, we measure that first leg, move it up, and look what we got. We really got just a tick or 2 above that, and then prices sold off. So learn to spot those legs and those moves. All right, let's look at trade 3. Look what we have here. We've got a double top right across here. We had a failed break higher. An aggressive trader could have gone short right here. I wouldn't have gone short on this entry here because it was so close to the EMA, and you never know when prices are going to make another leg up. So I didn't like this one. Also, look at what we've got here. We've got a double bottom. We've got 1, 2, 3 overlapping bars, and at least 1 or 2 of them are doji. So that's not a good entry. Even though it would have given you a good trade, it's better to skip those. And but our entry, but I want to go back here to this high. We had 2 legs down, and look what happened. This low here was lower than this low, and this low. So that shows some bearishness. When you get that kind of move, now we know we're likely to get another measured move just like that. And look what we got right over here. This turned out to be a double top. I've told y'all I like to find the closings so we had our 2 closings right there, and look what happened. We barely got above that, and then we turned down. And not only that, this is a 2-legged pullback, and it's a second entry short. So you got your new low here. That makes the count 0. There's your pullback, your move down. There's your first break lower. So there's your first entry, then another leg up, and then boom, prices turn down. You could have gone short right here, but that's a big bearish or bullish bar. I don't like entering below those because you get trapped a lot of times. So I waited and went short below this nice bearish type bar here. It opened basically on its high and closed way down here on its low. So by going short there, we were entered at 1250.75, and any runners were safe on this trade. And so if you rode this down, actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure it's possible your runners got stopped out on this. I'm thinking that I survived this, but I'll have to go back and check that. But if you did survive it, your entry was 1250.75, and you could have ridden this all the way to the low of the day of 1236.50 or 1236.75. So that's about 20 points there. About 15 points you could have ridden that down. But if you did get stopped out, then that was a shame because that was a great entry. And there really wasn't another great entry till this trade right here. But just looking at this right across here, remember how I always find once we had this swing, I copied my trend line and moved it down to find the lower side. And even though prices were breaking through, you can see this line was kind of holding down through here. Even if you decided to move it right here, which might have been where it was supposed to be because that looks like it held prices better. There was no reason to be getting short in here because we'd had this huge sell-off. And let me show you this too. You had 1 leg down right here. Then you had your pullback right in here. And then here was a second leg down. And you can see prices did kind of move higher there, even though they continued to go on down. So that was another reason. I just didn't like going short here because I knew prices were going to bounce soon, and sure enough, they did. You could have scalped some, got some nice scalps off this. It wouldn't have been quick and easy, but it would have worked all the same. But it was better to wait and get the better entry. And as you can see, I got that over here. Here again, we got a double top across here. Prices pulled back to the trend line that we got off these first two swings. And look how prices tried 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times to go higher there. And none of those bars could break higher above this double top, above this trend line. And this actually is, you got a low down here. Actually, you got kind of a first entry short there. Then prices pulled back, and you had a second entry short right here, but there were too many overlapping bars. So I decided it'd be best to wait and see if you could get a trap. And prices did tick up here. See this little stem right here. Turn down and reverse, and look at that huge bearish reversal bar. So one tick below that was a 1244.75 entry. And this one moved all the way. This one moved all the way down to the trend line from overnight, which would have been a great place to exit. So from 1245 basically to 1240.50. So that's 4 or 5 points in there. That's a nice profit. Still early in the morning, so you could have got you 2 to 4 points right there with very little risk. And any runners were good, so this was a good place to exit right here. And why was this a good place to exit? Because remember this trend line I had drawn off these low two swings right here? Look where prices bounced. And did it hold permanently? No. And there was no reason to be looking to go long because we still had this down sloping trend line and we had all these overlapping bars and dojis, so just sit tight. And we actually had a short right here. These should have been red. But in an effort to save time, I'm going to show you. I'm not going to spend time changing the colors on those. This trade right here, we had a new low right there, so that's a two-legged pullback to the EMA, the trend line. So that was a second entry short right there. It was good for a scalp. That was about it. Again, we had this trend line coming up here. So if you skip that trade, I can understand why. And it would not have been necessarily wrong, but with that big bearish reversal bar, we were likely to get, and plus it's a breakout above this kind of area right here. It made another perfect double top almost. So there were a lot of reasons to figure you could get a scalp right there. So it was okay to take that trade. If you didn't take it, no big deal. And we had this trade right here. Again, this should have been red. I hate to waste time turning this red, but just want to make it look good for you so you understand. Nobody gets confused. This was another double top right across here, another failed break higher with another reversal bar. So this is just a trading range, and the exciting part here was if you entered at 1243 and a quarter, the bottom fell out of it. So this was the first real break of the trend line that we had. So you expect a retest. At the very least, I was expecting it to retest the upper part of the trend line. But instead, if you held on, this was a nice move down. And what I would have probably done was start moving my stop above each one of these bars when they completed, just in case, because I was expecting another bounce here. But prices didn't really bounce, so they got all the way down here. So you could have easily made about 5 points right here on this trade alone. So I'm going to end it right there today. I know that's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades, but I'm trying to get the time limit down on these, and I just can't seem to get it under 10 minutes. I had my timer set for 10 minutes, and we've gone well past that already. And but basically today was a range day, and we were just trading the trends off of each side of the range. As you can see, then we had a nice little trend back to the upside after this break below that trend line right here. And this is actually a double entering up right here would have been a double bottom pullback, but no real good entry till we got back above the EMA and tested it a second time right in here. So there was a nice second entry long right here. Go to your charts and look at it, see if you can see it. And but I'm going to call it a day right there. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and this is our Monday update. And send me any feedback you got, and good trades to everybody. See you.